In this video, I want to go over how to grow your arms fast for skinny guys. I've always been a skinny guy trying to bulk up, but I did so many mistakes and decisions which I regret. That's why I feel that I have decent advice, and no disrespect to anyone, but a lot of big guys that give this sort of advice, they have insane genetics and they've never gone through the actual problem. So what I want to do in this video is to share exactly what works best for me from someone who is in the same position as you are. Now, one more thing before we begin. Once you're ready, you can get the exact workout program that I used to build my body and got me from this to this. Click the link below once you're ready. All right, let's do this. So first, we're going to talk about the must-do, the non-negotiables, the things that you need to do in order to get results. And then in the second part, we're going to talk about the optional, something that you can do. You don't have to do them, but you can in order to get just a little bit of the boost. So let's talk about the first thing on the list, which is the diet optimization. Now, the problem is, because we are skinny and have no muscles, our arms look like noodles. The solution for this, we want to start something called calorie surplus, which will give us some fat in the process. I'm not going to lie to you. It's going to give us some fat in the process and help with muscle growth too. Now, don't worry. The way I'm going to teach you to do it is the way that you're not going to get fat. Right? So don't worry about that. So here is the exact way to optimize your diet. First, we need to get the protein right. Now, the general rule here is 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So as a quick example, if you hop on the scale now and you see 180 pounds, then you're going to need to eat around 180 grams of protein every single day, around that number. Now, you can start with that and then, of course, experiment in time with more protein or less protein, and you're going to see what results you get. But this is the general rule, the general recommendation. All right, the protein is done. Now, next, calories. Like I said, we need to eat in a surplus. To find the surplus, we need to have a starting point. We cannot just say a number, okay, just eat this is going to be your surplus. No, we cannot do that. So, how to find the starting point? You're going to take your body weight in pounds and then multiply it by 15. And then you're going to get the number. That's your starting point, and that's going to be approximately how many calories you need to eat in order to keep your body weight the same. Let's say, as an example, you take your body weight in pounds, multiplied by 15, and you're going to get 3,000. Okay, that's good. Now we can find the surplus that we need to do. So we're going to take our starting point and then add anywhere from 200 to 500 calories. And I'm going to explain to you which one to add, 200, 300, 400, or 500. But first, let's take the next example. So our starting point was 3,000 in our case. So then we're going to, let's say we're going to add 400. So now we've got the number 3,400 calories per day. That's going to be our surplus. That's how many calories we need to eat every single day in order to be in a surplus. Okay. If you want to get more fat faster, and I'm not talking about getting fatter. I'm talking about getting actual fat into onto your body. Add close to 500. All right. So I gave you a range here, 200 to 500. If you want to get fat faster, add close to 500. I would do this. I would add close to 500 if I was very, very skinny. So if I'm very, very skinny, I'm going to add close to 500 because I want to get those arms thicker as fast as possible. But I'm not going to keep this surplus for a long time just to get very, very fat. I'm just going to do that for a couple of weeks or months just to get those arms a bit thicker. So I would do that if you're like shredded, you have veins all over the body, you have very defined abs, you have literally 1%, not 1%, 1-digit body fat. So I would add 500. Now, if you want to focus more on muscle, which by the way, it's a slow process. You're going to gain muscle slower than gaining fat. Add close to 200. All right. So 200 is going to be like a lean bulk. You're not going to gain a lot of fat. You're going to gain some fat in the process, but more on the muscle. And 500 if you are really, really skinny and you just need to bulk up fast. Okay, now tips to get those calories every single day, because we've got the number, how many calories you need to eat per day, but I know it's hard. As a skinny guy with a fast metabolism and low appetite, it's really hard to get those calories. So here are some tips from me. Eat calorie dense meals. These are calories that have a lot of calories. These are meals that have a lot of calories but low in volume. Then drink calorie dense shakes. You can make these shakes yourself. You can find recipes on the internet. You can add peanut butter, protein powder, milk, all that good stuff. Then add healthy fats to your meals. You can add things like olive oil, avocado, nuts, fatty fish, all that kind of stuff. Then eat small portions more frequent. So you can take a big meal with a bunch of calories and split it into smaller portions and eat those throughout the day. It's going to be easier for you to eat. Then if you really need, you can eat some ice cream and sweets and all that stuff. I'm not saying not eat healthy. I'm saying do not restrict yourself from some junk food if you really need to do it. Now, here are the meals optimization. How to optimize your meals to growing muscles. Take your protein number that we find here. So body weight in pounds, times 1. All right, and then you're going to divide that number by 5. 5 represents how many times you're going to eat per day. Not 5 meals, but 5 times. Then, next thing you want to do is to eat protein as soon as you wake up. Then you're going to eat the other meals when you get hungry or every 5 hours. The point here that you need to understand, this is the only thing you need to understand here in this slide. The point here is to eat protein throughout the day to keep the process of building muscle up. So basically, when you eat protein, you're gonna start a process called muscle protein synthesis, and this process basically turns protein into muscle. That's what we want to keep up every single day, elevated. When you eat protein, this process starts. So this is why we want to eat 5 times a day with protein. Okay, here's a sample healthy meal plan with high fat, healthy fats, high protein, moderate carbs, and is going to give you a bunch of calories and is going to help you eat healthy overall. So this is how I would eat in order to get big, fast, and bulk up in a healthy way. So meal number 1, I'm going to have a protein shake plus a fruit. And the reason for that is because I'm not hungry when I wake up. When I wake up, I'm not hungry. I cannot eat. I need to force myself to eat, and I cannot sustain that. I can do it for a couple of days, but I cannot sustain that. I can drink a protein shake and the 1 fruit. That's fine. And the reason for another reason for this is because like I said, we want to eat protein as soon as we wake up. So that's going to be meal 1, protein shake and 1 fruit. Meal 2 is going to be some pasta with some chicken thighs, more fat there, with some veggies and olive oil plus 1 fruit. Meal 3, we're going to have walnuts plus a protein shake, or we're going to have avocado. And in each of these cases, I'm going to add also a fruit. And meal 4 is going to be some pasta with pesto, cheese, and olive oil, plus 1 fruit. An optional snack if more calories are needed at the end of the day. I'm going to have a mass gainer shake that I can make myself. There are a bunch of recipes. You can add a bunch of stuff there. Now, you can always add some junk food if you want. If you eat 90% healthy and 10% junk food, that's fine. All right, that's fine. Don't worry about it. So this is how I would eat. Now, let's talk about the second point on the list, which is training optimization. First thing we are going to do is to choose a good and optimal training program. For complete beginners, I recommend the workout program that I made. It's the first link in the description. Go check it out. But here is a checklist for you if you want to make it yourself or you want to get it from somewhere else. Just make sure it checks these boxes here. So first, you need to train the arms directly 3 times per week. What does directly means? Directly means that you do specific exercise that directly target the arms. So for example, bicep curls, tricep extensions. These exercises target specifically directly the muscle, the arms. Indirectly means when you do, let's say, a compound movement. Let's say you do under grip pull-ups. You're gonna get some activation in your biceps too, but you work your back. So what I mean is directly training the arms. Exercises for arms, specifically for arms. So you're gonna do that. And another example for indirect activation is going to be bench press. When you do bench press, you're training your chest, but you're also gonna get some activation in your triceps. But we want direct exercises, direct training. 3 times per week. We want to do those 3 times per week. In the same time, we want enough rest between workouts. So we don't want to train our arms Monday and then train our arms again on Tuesday. We don't want to do that. And number 3, in the same time, have 15 sets for arms per week. For advanced, you can go to 20 sets per arms per week. But for beginners, start with 10 and then go to 15. Build up. A good example of this that you can do as a complete beginner, and which I really recommend for complete beginners that they just start the gym, full body program 3 times a week. So that means you're gonna do full body, 1-2 exercises per muscle or muscle group, and you're gonna do all of those. You're gonna do full body Monday, then let's say you're gonna do Wednesday, and then we're gonna do again on Friday. So you do those 3 times a week. You train your arms directly 3 times a week. You include some good exercises there. Now the better ones is a plan that focuses more on arms, training only arms 3 times a week, and then the rest of the body 2 times a week. And that's gonna give you a lot of energy to put in the arms and not just overall to your body. You need something to allow you to put a lot of energy into arms and not chest, back, legs, all that stuff. Then you need to be careful when choosing exercises. You need to add both compound and isolations. Compounds are exercises that target multiple muscles in the same time. Things like bench press. You train your chest, some front delt, and the triceps. Squat. You target a lot of muscles in your legs. And then you want to do isolations. Isolations are basically when you isolate one muscle from the other muscles. So like a bicep curl, you train only your bicep. Choosing bad exercises can be the factor that keeps you from growing the muscles. I'm telling you right now, I see a lot of beginners in the gym, they don't do the right exercises. They do the kind of exercises that you see on Instagram Reels. Those kind of stuff are bullshit. Keep it simple and keep it keep the basics, basically. Keep the basics. Choose some compounds and choose some isolations. Simple ones that target the muscles that you want to train. Then you need optimal exercises that target the muscles that you want to train. That's what you need. So I'm going to give you some examples for biceps and triceps. You can do things like bicep curls, and it doesn't matter which one you choose. You can do bars with a bar, with an easy bar, with the dumbbells, or with a machine. It doesn't matter. You can do incline bicep curls. So you put on a bench and you go like this and you do incline bicep curls. Then overhead tricep extensions. These are going to target your entire tricep heads in the same time. So you don't need a bunch of exercises to target multiple tricep heads. That's bullshit. Skull crushers, again, very good exercise. And bar push downs with the bar, with the cable. I really recommend these exercises. As far as what to do in the gym, besides controlling the weight, you know this stuff, slow eccentrics. Eccentric is when the muscle is stretching, is lengthening, but it's still under tension. So a bicep curl, this is concentric and this is eccentric. Slow eccentrics and proper form. Besides that, you do something called progressive overload. This is when you gradually make the exercise harder every single session. But when I started, I had these questions, a bunch of questions about progressive overload. 1. How often should I add? What should I add, reps or weight? How many reps should I add? How much weight should I add? These are the basics of progressive overload. You either add 1 to 2 reps with the same weight from the previous week, and this is usually done for the dumbbells because it's hard to choose the next heavier weight dumbbells every single week. Or you add 2 kilograms with the same weight, with the same reps from the previous week. And you do this for the bars, for the machine, because it's generally easier when you add discs or when you add the pin in the, I think it's called the pin in the machines. But when should you add? You add one of these next week when you repeat the session. So I'm going to give you an example. Let's say this week let's say it's Monday. I train chest, shoulders, and triceps, let's say. Then I have my other days of workouts, doesn't matter. when I'm gonna do progressively overload on this. If I have this session Monday, next Monday I'm gonna do progressive overload. I'm gonna do from Monday to Monday to Monday. Basically, when you repeat the next workout next week, you're going to add either 1 to 2 reps or add 2 kilograms. The importance of doing all of this is this. This is when I followed Pro Split. You can see my physique here. And this is when I changed it to an optimal workout program and doing all the things that I mentioned before. Number 3, recovery optimization. So to be honest with you, if you do everything right, if you do everything just on point, everything that we've talked so far, but don't sleep, you won't transform your body. You won't get big arms. Sleep is your steroid. All right. So what can help you with this? Here's some points from my research and from my experience. Here's what can help. Keep the room cold, just enough so if you don't have a blanket, if you were to don't have a blanket, it's very, very cold. Then eat last meal around 3 hours before sleep. You don't want to go to sleep digesting food. Having a sleep routine / ritual that you follow every single evening is going to help you put you into that sleep mode, prepare you for the sleep. And if you do that consistently, your brain is going to get used to it and is gonna know, okay, it's time to get ready for sleep. Then turn off the lights in the evening, because your brain will think that it's still day outside. If you have the lights over your head, turn on. Consistent wake up time and going to sleep. That's a very important one too. Your brain likes routine, so make sure you do that. Do not use phone in the bed. The reason for that is that brain associates things very, very quickly. So your brain thinks it's a sofa to chill and not to sleep. So then you're gonna have a hard time falling asleep. Now try all of these. Try all of these. There's no point. You have nothing to lose if you try all of these. All right. And for some things like keep the room cold, for some of you it's not going to be possible. But try all the other things. I think these are the most important things to optimize recovery. And if you just do these, you will have a good sleep. Now let's talk about the supplements. Now we get into the second part, the optionals, extras. These are the only ones that are researched and in the same time that I tried. Creatine works. Protein powder works. Mass gainer, wasted money. You don't want to buy mass gainer. There's no point in buying mass gainer. Please trust me. Now, here's the thing. If you have a lot of money, buying a mass gainer is a high quality mass gainer is probably a good idea. Because if you have a lot of money, you probably don't want to spend time making your own shake, putting a lot of stuff into the shake and then blend it and then drink it, all that stuff. You just take a few scoops, put it in the blender, drink it. That's a good idea for you if you have a lot of money and you are a busy person. But if you don't have a lot of money, if you are not a busy person and you have 5-10 minutes to make your own mass gainer, save your money and make your own mass gainer. There are a bunch of recipes. I think I have one recipe in one of my videos. Then creatine with glycopump works. This is basically creatine, but a type of creatine that is combined with some kind of glycogen pump or something that's going to help you have a good pump. And you take this just before the workout or inside the workout. Works. I tried it. It works. Then the pre-workout with or without stimulant, so basically with caffeine, works. I'm telling you, it works. Now, you don't need to buy any of these, but if you want, you can. So, let's talk about the static stretching. There is research that indicates static stretching can improve range of motion and decrease the risk of injury. That's going to be like two birds in from once. I don't know the saying. Then, we have the second point, more muscle growth in full range of motion. So, that means, let's say you train your biceps and you train your biceps only here. You're not going to get a bunch of muscle growth. But if you go full range of motion and you stretch and you go through full range of motion, you're going to have more muscle growth. So that means if we combine those two, if you have limited range of motion for the biceps and triceps, and you improve it with static stretching, you can get a bit more muscle growth from that. I think it's worth looking into this. Thank you for watching till the end. This shows you are very interested in the subject and you take this seriously. Now, if you click on the link below right now, you'll not only have access to my workout program that got me jacked, but a whole bunch of more stuff, as you can see here. Click the link below once you're ready and maybe subscribe.